In archaeology movies, Indiana Jones, The Mummy, ECT, there's usually some booby trap or another protecting the site. What are real-life instances of still working booby traps that have been set off at historical sites that may have killed or seriously injured archaeologists or their workers? Honestly, any booby trap that was still functioning after thousands of years would be of far greater archaeological value than whatever artifact Indiana was attempting to steal from the tomb. And yes, booby traps in tombs are totally a thing. Although they generally don't resemble anything you'd see in an Indiana Jones movie. The Holy Grail? Garbage booby traps? My life's work. Credit for the question to you, Nice Cleavage 88. They asked it over on Ask Historians, but it was removed as against sub-rules, but I really wanted to see if there was a legit answer to this. Kudos on having an actual interesting question that I haven't seen on AskReddit in the past year. Not being sarcastic, genuinely don't recall having seen a similar question in the past year. And I spent most of lockdown on Reddit. Unfortunately, I don't have a proper answer. Maybe I missed it, but the tomb of China's first emperor fits this category. The one with the terracotta warriors. They never actually got to the dude because of the Lake of Mercury. That wasn't intended as a trap. Mercury was thought to have all sorts of mystical powers, including granting immortality. The tomb was a scale model, and he intended to float around on the river of Mercury in the afterlife. Another part of why it's not been excavated is an excavation of a Ming-era tomb back in the 60s was so horribly botched that the Chinese have, for the time being, given up on excavating royal tombs at all. Edited. It was a Ming, not Han, royal tomb. Kinda the opposite of what you're asking, but a major problem in nuclear disposal is how to convince people 10,000 years from now that this super fancy, highly fortified structure isn't the tomb of some great emperor or a temple to the god of the underworld. It's sealing away incredibly dangerous and extremely potent dark magic that will kill any who enter and contaminate the air, water, and land for millennia if it escapes, and have those warnings be not only understood but also taken seriously, and not brushed off as superstition or a bluff. And air, water, and land. Then, everything changed when the radioactive material attacked. Okay, all answers aside, I just want to mention that it's kinda funny that this post is NSFW just cause the word booby was mentioned in the post. I can't think of any traps, but archaeologists getting killed or injured on site is not as uncommon as it should be. Personally, I was temporarily blinded on my last dig before leaving the field. An #X200B. We also have a lot of fun stories too. If you find an archaeologist, buy them a drink and you'll have a lot of fun. Sort of similar but not really, a lot of cursed objects that have been uncovered throughout history were really just carrying deadly mold or bacteria that killed the people who took possession of the objects. TBF, it was amazing how the first trap in Indiana Jones managed to get a Rolling Stone cameo. I am very interested now in GT. Booby traps in tombs are totally a thing. What kind of booby traps were they and what did they do? Also, did they function or work when discovered, or were they reverse engineered to find out what they were? Found this post by Night IT in an old History Archive thread. The answer is, shockingly enough, yes. Archaeologists have found booby traps in tombs all over the world, meaning that they were not limited to a single culture either, and with a little bit of researching you may find countless examples of traps set into tombs. Obviously we're not talking of the giant boulder of death that rolls along the path narrowly avoiding killing you type of traps, but according to certain Professor Qin Shi Huang fitted his tomb with automatic crossbow very similar to the one we see in The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Here's an article to begin your research. Have fun discovering how clever and cruel our ancestors were. http://amid-the-ruins.com/top-10-real-life-trapped-tombs-temples-and-treasures/. Some sound like more unintentional traps, like treasures and bones coated in cinnabar or the mercury rivers and lakes, because the toxicity of those compounds was little understood at the time the place was constructed, but plenty do sound quite deliberate. Basically, people have an instinct to protect valuables. A trap or other security device isn't uncommon. Off the top of my head, I know some tombs in South America have cinnabar sprinkled in them. No clue if anyone has died from it though. Okay, save me the Google. What is cinnabar? A poison? Your use of boobies has triggered the NSFW filter. Filth. Better than a tomb with Uranus.